Dad said there are always 4 people in the room when you make love. Mother, father, lover. I didn't think he meant it literally.
Oh, you fucks!
It's just sex, Irene.
It's heedless, selfish sex.
Watch out! I'm pregnant.
So I'm Miro Bilbrough. I am the writer-director of Being Venice. And Being Venice is a feature film about a woman who's having trouble with the man in her life. On the night that her kind of estranged father comes to stay, she's dumped by her boyfriend. She begins a pretty ill-advised affair with her best friend, who also happens to be a philosopher. And she has her father sleeping on the sofa at home. And for the progress of the film and Venice's life kind of unravelling under his nose, he proceeds to ignore it until there's a combustion. Alice McConnell was the first actor that we cast, and we cast Alice as the title character, Venice. Alice just did this mesmerising audition. She's one of those actors that you kind of can't take your eyes off on screen, and the lead character in this film really required someone that we would travel with, that we would suspend judgments, really not about liking or disliking, or just someone we would go with.
I'm Alice McConnell and I play Venice, and the film's about a woman at the prime of her womanhood. She's leading living a kind of unconventional life, really. She's searching for meaning in all sorts of relationships, whether they're healthy or not. That's kind of the journey we go on with her, looking for meaning in different relationships. And then her dad comes to town, and obviously that's a catalyst for all sorts of unravelling. The thing that really struck me first was how beautiful Sydney looked. I was just kind of blown away with, Clovelly and Bronte and that coastal walk that we all know. It just looked so beautiful, and it was a beautiful blue sunny day, and the art gallery and Stanmore and all these fabulous Sydney locations, and it was just shot really beautifully, and Bonnie Elliott did such a gorgeous job, and Miro's vision was so strong. It's a very intimate kind of sensual view of a woman's life in Sydney now in 2012, and it's just something that's not really represented often in Australian film.
Garry McDonald, who actually plays the central character Venice's father, an ex-hippie that comes to sleep on her sofa from New Zealand, he read for the part at a workshop of the script, and he just was that character as I'd written him in a very sort of perfectly formed kind of way. He just really innately understood the melancholy and the humour and the way they interact in that character. He brought a beautiful unself-consciousness to the part.
I'm Garry McDonald, and I play Arthur Ford in the film Being Venice. He's Venice Ford's father, a writer from New Zealand who comes over to visit his daughter. Well, he actually comes over to do a workshop with some schoolboys, some high school boys, some creative writing workshops, and he incorporates a holiday with his daughter. I really enjoyed working with Alice, who plays the lead role, Venice, and I loved working with Miro. It was very enjoyable. The best bit working with Miro was when you do a scene and she'd give you notes, and she'd take you aside, and she was very discreet so that she wasn't sort of giving you anything that the other actors could hear, which was fatal with me because I'm deaf. So all that, Garry, I think that this time round I'd have to say to her, louder, Miro, sorry, louder. But no, it was very enjoyable. I've had a long career, I guess, but I haven't done a lot of film. I did a spate of films after the Norman Gunston thing, and they were all pretty dreadful. And I think this film, Being Venice, it's got so much emotional quality to it, and that to me is I haven't had film where that's happened. But this also has got a lot of humour in it as well. It's kind of it's all that sort of repression. It's very, very interesting. It was really interesting trying to crack the character. It's the sort of thing that even now I look at it and go, I'd love to have. I kind of understand it. I saw the film for the first time last night, and I think I cracked those moments. But it's like now, it's in you, in your body. And it's interesting that I heard Miro talking before about how we're supposed to become wise as we get older. And this film, they kind of like, my character doesn't get wise at all. He sort of has a realisation, but then he just goes right back. And I'm like it myself at 63. I mean, I keep doing these dreadful, and I keep thinking, when am I going to learn, And I kind of like that, that it's not a pat ending.
I think it is one of those films that introduces you into a really truthfully textured world. And that sounds really egotistical, but I guess as a filmmaker, I always want to experience a world when I go to see a film, and I want to kind of feel its truth. And I like to think that this film does that. But I also think the other thing, which gives it its humorous moments, is that, it's really about that thing that as we grow older, we think that we're going to be sort of older and wiser and safer, and really I think the characters in this film really find that they're not, and that has a sort of a slight delirium to it, which I think is very entertaining and hopefully recognisable. I think people might recognise themselves in that.
Must be nice being so cogent in bed. Maybe you should write about it, Venice. Get your failings down on paper.
Feelings.
That's what I said. Feelings.
I thought I might smother you.
Please don't go. Just please stay. I suppose you didn't get much sleep last night.
Why does she go on about it?
Infinite Stories, one film festival.